I think there's only about 2 teams in the league, San Antonio, and it might only be San Antonio that doesn't have a franchise player. Am I missing a team? Who doesn't have franchise guys? Is it only San Antonio?
Jazz.
Yeah, and the Utah Jazz, exactly. So,
well, let's go through. Wait. Utah. All right, Spurs. I feel like there's a few other teams. I need a list of every team in front of me.
Both teams have guys who could be franchise-type players, but they don't fit your typical prototype, number one selected overall. I think a lot of teams are looking at, maybe guys like the Houston Rockets, where
the Knicks really don't have a face of the franchise. Like, they have guys, but none of them's like a cornerstone. You would say.
Yeah, I guess. I'm talking more rebuilding teams. So, okay, even to use that point, the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks don't have a franchise player, right? Well, what happened 2 years ago? Oh, they had the 4th seed in the NBA playoffs. So I think teams are actually kind of starting to come around to, losing is pretty risky. Victor Wembanyama, in his own regard, is pretty risky. There's low chances that you're going to get the first pick. And even if you try your hardest and your talent, as far as your talent on your team is, if we're still bottom 5, we're gonna have a bottom 5 pick. We're gonna have a top 5 pick. So I think teams are actually starting to steer away from, why would we create this losing culture with no veteran leadership, no veteran expertise? We're putting all of our stock into a 19-year-old kid.
There's only like 2 or 3 teams that are doing that. It's the Houston Rockets and the Thunder, really. The rest, I personally feel that most teams, they go into the season trying to play well. Then December, January comes around. Once December, January comes around and they kind of feel the vibes in the locker room and they're like, this just isn't working. That's when the owner, the general manager, calls up the coach and says, hey, we're tanking. We're not trying to win any more games. I think most teams start off the year trying to make the playoffs, unless, the Thunder of the past few years or like the Sixers when they're in the process.
Yeah.
I think most teams until December, January, just a month or so before the trade deadline. That way they give themselves time to make deals for certain players. Yo, what's up, Mr. E1? Been a long time, sir. But I think definitely right now no team's trying to lose, but if, say, the Hornets right here, they just start losing a shit ton of games, don't be surprised December they start shipping guys out of town. Okay, same thing with the Bulls. I wouldn't be surprised if the Bulls, if they start struggling, which I don't think they will.
We don't have our first round pick.
Yeah, that's why you would maybe look to trade Vooch or somebody.
Patrick Williams, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Package Patrick Williams and Vooch for somebody else.
And Vooch looks great.
Vooch has looked. The reason why I said Vooch could be expendable is he's the only one not locked up long term.
Oh,
yeah. So that's what I'm saying is usually when you trade a guy, it's over them not being long. It's either the money's way too long or it's about to expire. Like, think about this. Gordon Hayward's on the block because he's got like 2 years left. Yeah. Same thing with Rozier. Even though like Gordon Hayward's less of a player. Like, Rozier shouldn't be on the block, but he's on the block allegedly because his deal's got 2-3 years more, and the Hornets want to free up cap space. But let's look at these teams right now. I say we'll look at the Eastern Conference. I'm going to pick 3 teams. You're going to pick 3 teams from the East, and then we'll pick 3 from the West. But for me, the 3 biggest surprises, I think the Boston Celtics, even though they lost their first game, the Boston Celtics just might arguably be the best team in the NBA. Like when they're firing on all cylinders, that team is good. Yes, I know there's still questions about their bench, but they've got arguably the best 7 to 8 man lineup, with Brogdon off the bench with Grant Williams and then Sam Hauser / they've started Derek Williams in a few games, but just a mix of what they have off the bench. It's incredible. Second surprise, the Charlotte Hornets. Holy crap, is Nick Richards and the Charlotte Hornets team playing defense. They're doing well. And the third team, I want to say, is the Chicago Bulls, because the reason why so the Hornets have been better than started the season off way better than I thought they would, and their front court looks really good. Third, the Bulls. The reason why I put the Bulls is I thought the Bulls, they've had 2 games where they've looked amazing, where it's just like, okay, this Bulls squad is legit, but then they have 2 games where you're just like, okay, these are the Bulls of last year. So that's where I was surprised. It's just crazy how much the Bulls are like bipolar so far in like 4 games. What are your 3 teams?
Yeah, I'll definitely go with Charlotte, sitting at 2-1. I still think they're bottom feeders, but they're 2-1. I'll go Brooklyn 1-2. I think Ben Simmons looks disgusting, and
He's playing good defense though, but offensively he's
yeah,
like inept, like literally inept at offense.
we knew their ball movement was going to be an issue. So I pointed towards they've only played 3 games, and it'll be a work in progress. And Ben Simmons hasn't played
Fire Steve Nash.
live basketball in a while. I'm on the fence with Fire Steve Nash. I think a lot of the reasons they lost the playoff series to Boston was, I mean, they didn't make any adjustments as far as I was concerned on offense, and also, yeah, I think Steve Nash is very much at fault for that.
We said it before. How much can you blame the first round loss to Kevin Durant? You can't. You can't blame that entirely on Kevin Durant. You got to blame some of it on Steve Nash.
Exactly. Well, yeah. I mean, their offense was so stagnant, and that's why the Ben Simmons addition to me is so critical. Is because especially in the playoffs, Boston runs a very simple defense. Actually, they play 1-on-1 and they bring help to stop the ball, and then they sag off a little bit. And they'll let Kevin Durant beat you, but they just didn't move the ball. The ball movement has been improved, though, from Brooklyn. So I will say that I think the defense is going to be better, too. But just as far as the 1-2 start, I'm going to throw them in there. And then also Philadelphia 1-3. I don't view Philly as a finals contender, but I do think 1-3 it's pretty desperate, as we were
They just don't have a bench
yesterday.
They don't have a bench.
They have a bench, though. That's the thing. They have a bench. The bench looks horrible.
Literally, yeah.
Joel Embiid looks horrible.
We talked about this yesterday, and I know
Yeah.
it will say the same things we said the other day. I honestly, at this point, let's move on from Doc Rivers. They have the players, unless like their entire bench somehow in one off season's over the hill. I'm so confused on that one. But if we can go back on Brooklyn, I think unlike the Sixers are completely healthy. I think this is just adjusting and just bad, Doc Rivers isn't coaching these guys how he should be. And because James Harden looked good when he was on the Nets last year, okay, and he still looks good here at times. But my main thing is, if we go back to the Nets, people don't realize the Nets have some injuries. They're missing Seth Curry, TJ Warren, Markieff Morris. Huh?
When did the Seth Curry get in here?
Seth Curry hasn't played this season.
The whole season?
Yeah, same thing with Markieff's played only 2 games. TJ Warren hasn't played at all. So when you look at
that sucks.
So that's one thing. I think the thing is when your third leading scorer is Nick Claxton. Nothing against Nick Claxton, he's been looking phenomenal. Okay, Nick Claxton has been looking phenomenal, but the best players on the Nets, have been Kevin Durant, Nick Claxton, Kyrie Irving, Patty Mills, and Deron Sharp, and Royce O'Neal has had his moments, but he hasn't been amazing. But he's had his moments. And then right there, Joe Harris can't do shit. Ben Simmons can't do shit. And there's no one really else on the team that's doing crap. I think like they need more scoring. Give Cam Thomas maybe some more minutes. But I don't know, man. It's weird. I agree. Like I like how we did the opposite. I took the Celtics, Hornets, and Bulls, and you did the depressing teams besides the Hornets. But the Nets and the Sixers, I think the Nets, their situation's a bit more salvageable. But if the Sixers, if they keep playing like this, I think Doc Rivers is fired by Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I think Steve Nash is also on hot seat, but I agree. I think the Doc Rivers is a lot more pressing.
When did they fire David Blatt, the Cavs?
Dude, I remember I was at the barber. I was getting a haircut when David Blatt got fired. And
really?
It was so weird. Yeah, I was so young. Not so young. It was not too long.
It was weird though, dude, because they had just gone to the finals.
Yeah. That was very weird. What's up, Thomas?
Oh my God, David! Guess what David Blatt has? He has
a Magnum Dong.
No, he has MS.
Oh damn.
Yeah, he got diagnosed in 2019. He has MS.
That's not why he got fired though.
No, I know, but okay. So January 22nd, they fired David Blatt. So I believe if Steve Nash were to get fired, they'd fire him in January. I think they give Steve Nash till January.
Yeah, it's less pressing as Doc. Brooklyn has a lot of talent, but
Did you see what Thomas said?
yeah, screw 'em.
You're funny. I just hopped out the shower. What were you gonna say?
Oh, Doc Rivers and the Philly, they had last season to do this, whereas Ben Simmons, he's only played 3 technical games as a Brooklyn Net. Or they had half of last season to figure it out, but tomato.
I agree. Okay, let's pull up